Hi, this is an exciting evening because I am fixing to use my brand new machine, Esther May. The old machine was Esther, so this is a big 21, and so she gets a longer name. So Esther May after my grandmama. The first thing I need to do is oil it. And I have a confession. I'm not using the oil that came with it because I like the little fine tip. I can't be trusted with something that doesn't have that little fine tip. I will give it way too much oil. So on page 39, it tells me to put 1 or 2 drops up in the top and then 1 or 2 drops in the bobbin area, and to have the needle down about 3/4 way. So I've already lowered the needle, and so we're going to put, it's a little tough here, but I'm going to try and, let's see. There's 1 and there's 2. So 2 drops there. And now we're going to come down here and give it its 2. We're going, since it's brand new. Okay. So we've given it its oil in both places. And you know what, I'm going to take this thread out just so I can do it up and down a little bit. Just sort of work the oil. Okay. And I'm going to re-thread the machine here. And I followed the instructions for threading there. It's toward the beginning of the book there. So I have that. So to save time, I went ahead and threaded it. And let me get this back through the needle here. And this is Glide 40 weight thread on top. Okay. And there's something I already did I want to show you. This is a needle alignment magnet. I cannot recommend this enough. When you put the needle just right there, it's going to point in the direction that the eye is facing. So I already loosened up the screw, and I turned the needle so that the eye was exactly facing straight. So I cannot live without this needle alignment magnet. That's just great. Okay, so now we need to do the bobbin. So I used the Glide magnetic Magna Glide bobbins. This is a 40 weight right here, and you take that little spring out. So this is the little spring, but you don't need it because there's a magnet on the bobbin on that end. So you'll never have to worry whether or not you've put your bobbin in wrong because the magnet always goes first. So I'm going to drop that in there and then weave it like you're supposed to do right there. Okay, so now I'm holding it in my hand and I'm going to lift up. And it comes off my hand, so this means I need to loosen it a little bit. So there's, grab my magnet there. So I'm going to take this is the wrong screwdriver. I need the little one. So I'm going to go for the bigger of these 2 screws, and ever so lightly, I'm going to turn it just a tiny bit to the left. And it still comes up off my hand, so I'm going to loosen it just because you don't want to move this very much at a time. So I'm doing. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think we finally got it here. So let me cut some of this extra thread off, and we're going to push it into the bobbin slot here. Now we've made it click. Okay, so we're going to come over here and see what happens. So I'm pushing down over here and then pushing it again. Yep, it didn't grab it. There it is. Okay, so here's the beginning stitches here. Let's see what it looks like. I'm liking it. Let me move it back so I can check underneath and see what the bobbin stitches look like. Oh, don't they look pretty nice? Pretty nice. So now I have set the tension, and I might tinker it with it just a little more and really fine tune it. But if it hadn't started out, this just happened to start out, and I didn't really have to do much. But sometimes what I'll do is I'll tighten this. Oh, and I just tightened it. I'll tighten it until I see the bobbin thread come up, and then I just start backing it down until I quit seeing the bobbin. That's pretty much how I'll attack getting the tension right, is just to know where I'm at. I'll over tighten, see my bobbin, and then loosen until I don't see that bobbin thread anymore. And that's once I get the bobbin tension set right where I was holding it in my hand. So I am so excited to use this new machine, and I can't wait to quilt my first quilt.
Doug again. Wanted to discuss one more topic regarding the Unique 21. Very specifically, want to talk about the hopping foot. It's a fairly important piece of this thing. I want to discuss how to take it on and off. I also want to discuss how to adjust it. It's important the hopping foot be adjusted correctly, minimize the opportunity for missed stitches and all that stuff. So first thing I'm going to do is talk about removing it. And it comes off pretty simple. There's actually a 3mm bolt in the back here, and I've got my 3mm wrench. I'm going to stick this wrench in, and you have to actually completely remove this thing, so I apologize if my hand's in the way, but I'm going to actually take it out completely. See, it comes out. I'll just set it to the side here, and then the hopping foot comes out just like this. So that's pretty simple. Now, why did I want to take it out? Well, one of the things that we got with our particular machine is this 9-piece attachment for all these extra hopping feet that you can actually put on. And so while I'm at it, I'm going to put a different hopping foot on the Unique 21. And to see what the contents look like, this is it right here. These are all the little pieces and parts that come with it. I'm actually going to take this piece right here, get it out of the box. So this is the piece I'm going to start playing with, this thing. And I'm also going to take out this piece here, the glide foot. This is a piece that Janet likes to use the most frequently. So essentially, I am going to put this glide foot, let me set my wrench down. I'm going to put this glide foot onto on this other hopping foot. And it goes on pretty simple. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but if you take a look at this thing, this hopping foot has got 2 marks on it. It's actually got a red mark and a black mark. And the glide foot, if you look on the end here, it also has a black mark on it. So all I'm really doing is I'm going to put this on underneath. I'm going to line up so that the black mark lines up with the red mark just like that. It kind of fits into place. Once I do that, I'm then going to twist it until the 2 black marks line up. So if I've done this correctly, I've now got the glide foot on this new hopping foot. So now it's just a matter of putting it on the machine. So I'm going to just slide it in where the old hopping foot was. I'm going to put it in place. I'm going to take my 3mm screw, I'm going to put it back on, and tighten it down. Now it's important when you put it on, you want to make sure that the needle lines up with the hole that's in the bottom of this thing. You don't want obviously the needle to come down and hit the side of the hole in the hopping foot, and then it doesn't actually, it won't actually sew. So I think I'm off a little bit. Bear with me a little bit while I do a little bit of adjustment. Let me see if I can lower the needle. And yeah, it's off a little bit. You almost have, for this particular glide foot, you almost have to kind of play with it a little bit to get it to line up properly. So I'm just going to loosen this. And if you've got the manual out, you want to look at page 34. Page 34 in the Unique manual talks specifically about the hopping foot. So let me kind of adjust this for a little bit. You'll see I've lowered the needle. When I lowered the needle, that's when I came back in and tightened this down to make sure it was all lined up properly. So now you'll see that the needle goes up and down and it's not actually hitting against the glide foot. So that's the first thing. That's the first step involved in actually putting a new foot on. Now it's very important that we make sure that the foot is adjusted properly. If the foot comes down too close or too far from the actual stitch plate, there's a good possibility your stitches may possibly skip. So there's a little tool I'm going to use right here called the Hopping Foot Height Guide. Hopefully you can see that. Let me just line that up. The Hopping Foot Height Guide. And I'm going to take this. You see it's got a little notch in it. Basically, I'm going to line this notch up with the needle, and I'm going to verify that the hopping foot actually properly lines up with the switch plate. So to do this, there is another 3mm bolt right on the end here. Kind of, if you're standing at the front of the machine, it's toward the right. If you loosen it, what it actually does, and I'm just going to bear with me while I loosen this. And it allows the shaft to move up and down. See, like that. And so what I want to do is basically line this up with that hopping foot. So to do that, I need to make sure that my needle is as far down as it can go. So I'm going to lower it all the way to the bottom, and I've kind of hang on. I'm going to reach over here and adjust this so that the needle actually. There we go. I kind of threw it out of alignment a little bit when I was loosening that. So I've got it so the needle as far down as it will go. So right about there is where I want it to be. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my hopping foot guide and I'm going to insert it underneath the hopping foot and line it all up. Now right now I just slid it in. It's pretty snug. It's almost tight, and you really don't want it tight. You want it to just be just sitting on top of the hopping foot guide. So what I'm going to do is, now that I've got this done, I need to loosen my my screw a little more here. I need to basically move this shaft just a little bit so that it's just barely touching, it's barely there, but it's not pushing down hard on it. So this takes a little bit of trial and error. So, and I'm just moving this very, very slightly. And right about there, you see it kind of moves back and forth, but there's a little bit of freedom there. I think I'm in a correct position. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to tighten this down and lock it in place. Okay, I think I have it just right. So it's just sitting on there, and but it's not so far down that it's snug. So I think I'm in good shape on this, and I can just verify this. I can just do a couple things. First, I want to just manually move it. So I want to make sure that I can move it up and down like that, and manually it seems to work. Also, if I actually take and hit the buttons on this thing to raise the needle up and down like that, up and down and up, it seems to go fairly smooth. It's like I said, but it's in the down position, and again, that thing is just about right. So that's basically how you adjust the hopping foot. I hope this is a video you found useful. If any questions, feel free to post in the comments, and we'll get back to you as quickly as I can. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.